We have a couple of things that are airline related. And, you know, I'm an airplane nerd. If I were not a radio personality, I probably would have gone into aviation. I might have been a pilot. That probably is the second thing that I would have wanted to do. Radio number one, commercial pilot number two. So a couple of things here. I got everything from puking to
the pilot puke.
Well, no, the flight attendants in the back. This is a crazy story. I'll get to that in a second. First, though, the Southwest Airlines story that kind of broke while we were on vacation last week. The Southwest plane that almost crashed into Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
What a crazy freaking story. That right near the Courtney Campbell Causeway, that a Southwest flight from Columbus, Ohio, back on July 14th, it took time for the story to actually get out. It took days and days because we were on vacation when the story finally hit. But Southwest Flight 425 from Columbus, Ohio, here to Tampa on July 14th came within 150 feet, which is nothing.
Nothing.
Into crashing into Tampa Bay right near the Courtney Campbell Causeway. Weather was bad. There were some cells around. But this airplane descended way too low. In fact, I'm not going to give out any names, but I have I've got several friends that are Southwest pilots.
Okay.
And one of my friends, because I was asking him, hey, what's the lowdown? He's going to have more like inside information for me on the Southwest flight that was supposed to land at Tampa International, came within 150 feet of the water on Old Tampa Bay, and then diverted to Fort Lauderdale. Listen to this.
Can I ask you a question real quick so you can put some perspective up? All right. You know, when you're driving from my house, so like on the Veterans headed toward the interstate, like from West Chase toward the I-275, right?
Yeah.
And you're going through there and the planes are landing and they're coming down.
You mean on Hillsborough?
No, not on Hillsborough.
On the Veterans. Where the
Veterans.
Where the light markers
Yeah, come down Veterans.
Yes.
They come over like Benjamin Road area.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
and the bowling alley.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's landing right over Hillsborough.
Right.
Those are when they land to the south, and they're coming from the north. They land to the south, and the left runway is 19 left. The right runway closer to the Veterans. If you're going over Hillsborough, that's 19 right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, I knew you'd have all this information.
Yeah.
Do you have this information?
Yep.
When I was a kid, my dad would take us and we'd pull over on the side of the road and just sit there and watch the planes land, and it was super. And I love it still driving through. Anytime a plane comes over, and it feels like they are right on top of your car.
Or,
what is the distance at that point?
Oh, so maybe 100 feet. Maybe 100.
Really?
Maybe 150 feet.
Okay. Okay.
No. You know what? A little higher. So
I think they're
over Hillsborough, maybe 200, 250.
Okay, you're giving us some perspective as to how close it was to the water.
But the other way, if you're on the Veterans Expressway, if you're on the Veterans and they're coming in from the south, landing to the north, coming from like MacDill Air Force Base.
That's what I was talking about.
So,
yes.
Well, that's on the Veterans Expressway.
Okay.
So
I thought I said that, but
we were talking Hillsborough.
It's all right.
So if you're coming in the other way over South Tampa, then the left runway over Tampa Bay is one left, and the one over Beach Park, like over like West Shore,
is one right.
Is one right.
Oh, okay. Okay. One left, one right.
But like for instance, when you're on the Veterans.
What do they call it?
And you'll have the planes that'll fly right over you.
Yes.
If it's a one left
yes.
approach. One left approach.
That gives me like, you know what? I put that in the same category as like when I see, the Tico trucks going to save the day after a hurricane. That's the kind of thrill I get when I get a plane over my head.
Well, then you need to do the beach deal on St. Martin.
Yes, I've seen that.
Have you seen those videos?
I've seen those videos.
Yeah, so Maho Beach, right in St. Martin, you can be on the. They actually had to put some additional barriers up because people were being blown into like the guardrail.
Yeah, I mean, people weren't meant to be in that location.
Yeah, but those are crazy landings. Also, where else was I? I think St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands. There's another really interesting. Anyway, so let me tell you what my Southwest Airlines buddy said. He said regarding this incident, he said, quote, the FAA is going to be on us like Michael Jackson on a third grader.
Oh, boy. Maybe you guys could switch jobs for a day. You could go be a pilot and you could be a radio show host with those jokes.
Yeah, that's some zinger, man. Wow.
Well, and then he sent me a chart. Jackson. He sent me one of the aviation maps, one of the charts.
Yeah.
And what was going on, and this is interesting, is that this Southwest plane was going to land on the east-west runway, which is like never used for commercial jets. They were going to land on, you've got the north-south parallel runways. You also have an east-west runway called 10. If you're coming from the Gulf, it's 10. If you're coming from out east,
it's 11.
It's 28.
Oh,
so they were going to land on that runway. They were on approach. But here, before I move on, this is the deal. Where that plane was 150 feet off the water, the chart for Zexy, that's the waypoint, is ZEX. I'm not going to get into detail, but the waypoint where that aircraft was is called Zexy, ZEXYY.
You got some nerve saying you're not going to get into detail after you named every runway.
Wait a second. Listen. That plane at Zexy was supposed to be at 1,600 feet. The charts say that plane should have been 1,600 feet, where it was at 150 over Tampa Bay. That is crazy.
Okay. You know the joke, and you know that pilots only work on, the landings and the takeoffs, and they just kind of chill the rest of the time. Like that's your only time you have to be focused on your job. That's when you have to make sure you're at the right elevation. Yeah.
Yes,
right?
Andrew.
Yes, I've watched a plane coming into Tampa International while I'm on 275 north of the interchange.
Yep.
Coming across Tampa from the east.
Yep.
It just looks so weird because they never.
Yeah, they don't use 1028 very often. That's the east-west. Anyway, so I should have more information, a little inside scoop on this Southwest plane. And then the pilots apparently got on and said, yeah, we're running low on fuel. We're going to go to Fort Lauderdale.
Huh?
Wait a second. Wait a minute. If you're running low on fuel, you want to land in Tampa Bay. Well, actually, you want to land at the airport, not in Tampa Bay, like they almost did.
So they told the passengers we're running low on fuel. We're going to go to Fort Lauderdale.
And the pilot said we're having very gusty winds. There was some situational awareness. But, folks, can you imagine? This could have been a whole different story. A Southwest 737 crashing at the Tampa Bay. It was, I think, fairly close to that happening.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And remember, 150 feet is only a little bit more than its wingspan.
Good reference. Good reference.
You know what?
Yeah.
What is the wingspan on a 737? Like 120 feet?
Almost. About 118.
118. Wow.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Andrew with the deets.
All right, now on to the vomiting United Airlines flight attendants.
You really need to do an airplane podcast. I'm just saying. Tell me about the puking.
Yeah, we have actual audio. All right. This is a United Airlines flight, which was diverted because the crew was puking all over the back of the airplane. This was United Airlines flight 2477.
United we puke.
Yeah, it was from Houston, Texas to Boston. They diverted to Northern Virginia, and apparently the crew was vomiting, and all the passengers around them were asking for masks. They had to divert. It was declared like a biohazard on the airplane. We probably need to get the flight on the ground as soon as possible, is what's heard on the air traffic control audio. But they declared it a biohazard. Crew members were puking all over the place. Why? And then the airplane landed in Washington, and the aircraft had to go through an extensive deep clean after people became ill on the plane. The situation was so severe that crew members and others on board stated that they were becoming ill themselves, like sympathetic puking or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Compassion puking.
Yeah, I mean, you want to hear some of the audio? Listen to this.
Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure.
Or can't you take a guess?
Well, not for another 2 hours.
You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
No. I mean, we can't land for another 2 hours. Fog.
There we go. Actual audio from. This is crazy.
Surely you must be kidding.
I talked to the crew,
Yes.
and it sounds like it's quite bad back there. That's on the radio traffic. The crew is vomiting, and passengers all around are asking for masks. A crew member was heard saying in the audio from the flight, what happened? The plane landed safely at Washington Dulles, which is actually Northern Virginia. No one required medical help, and the aircraft had to go through a deep clean. I think they called zero res.
Yeah. They got it out.
They called zero res to
With
get
with a zero residue solution. It's fantastic.
because they don't leave the residue in the
No,
airplane carpet,
That's
you
right.
know?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So it stays cleaner longer. But that's crazy. So, and then there was the crazy story also regarding Southwest that it was so hot on some of the flights on the ramp on the that some soda cans were exploding in the airplanes because it was so hot. But then it was like, the soda cans are exploding on Southwest flights. So wait a minute. No other airlines had exploding soda cans? It was only a Southwest issue?
I mean, they kept it on the wing.
Yeah. There were more than 100 reports of soda cans exploding on flights back in June. Southwest flight attendant union president Bill Bernal told CNN, some of which have injured flight attendants, like what, with like a can of Diet Pepsi shrapnel or something?
I mean, that little flip lid, sometimes maybe a projectile off.
Got a Diet Coke IED going on.
Jeez.
Better than an IUD.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I thought you were going.
Is Southwest the only
Ouch,
airline that
ouch.
actually keeps track?
What?
Of how many? Is Southwest the only airlines that keeps track
Of exploding
Yeah.
soda cans? Bernal predicted nearly 3 times as many reports of exploding cans by the end of July. The issue has been happening for years, but this year we've had more incidents than normal. Wait a minute. Soda cans exploding? The hazard is unique to Southwest
Why?
because the airline does not serve perishable items, and so it isn't required to have refrigerated trucks or storage. That apparently is why, because Southwest, they don't serve meals.
They serve bagged nuts.
They'll give
Bagged
you
pretzels.
a bag of snack. That's it. So I guess that's why Southwest is affected and other airlines are not. So so what happens is the catering trucks that bring the sodas to Southwest flights at really hot, sweaty airports.
It's already hot
Yeah.
when it gets
So
on the plane.
they're on those catering trucks and they're not refrigerated trucks. So if you're getting meals, that the sodas and everything arrive on a refrigerated truck. I guess that's the difference here.
Huh.
But
Wouldn't know.
flight attendants are getting injured for even then. How hot does a freaking can of Coke have to be to explode?
Jeez.
That's pretty nuts.
One of the few things that they do serve on Southwest.
That is
Yes.
true.